There was a survey done of 50 people who were over the age of 100. And they asked them, if you had your life to live all over again, what would you do? Now, they had all kinds of different answers. You know, the wording was different, but it boiled down to three things. They said they wished they had done more that would live on beyond their life. They said they wished they had reflected more. Because if they had reflected more, then they would have made some different kinds of decisions. And you know what the third thing was? Hold on to your girdle. They said they wished they had risked more, that they held life too close to the vest. They wish they had done some of those wild things that came to them to do, that they, minimized and said, oh, I'm too old for this. I don't have enough money for this. I'm not the right complexion for this. I'm not the right gender for this. All the ways we minimize the things that are inspiration coming into our being, right? And what does inspiration come from? In spirit. Those things that aliven us are often attached to how the Spirit is trying to communicate with us on a cellular level. So the next time you get a brilliant inspiration or you feel enthusiasm, which enthusiasm is enthus, God within. Anything that gets you enthusiastic or inspires you is a way that God is longing to speak to you. And so look at your longing. What have you been longing to do? I hear people say, ever since I was a kid, I've longed to do X, Y, Z. When I was in my teenage years, I longed to. When I began 20, I longed to. Those longings are the way the still small voice of God speaks to us and invites us to come live, grow, come live. But also discontentment is a way the still small voice speaks to us as well. When you find yourself saying, I'm tired of this. I don't want to keep living like this. I don't appreciate this anymore. I don't find the value in this anymore. There's nothing about this that gets me going again. When you find discontentment, question it. Because it's also an invitation to live your most expansive life. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to go jumping out of an airplane. But what's your version of that? What's your version of coming awake to life? What does that look like for you? Oftentimes, the things that Spirit is inviting us to do will feel rich, like an indulgence, right? But we have to see it as rich, as in a fuel for our living. Can't live without it. All right, literally, can't live without it. Those moments where Spirit inspires us to think a new thought or to make a certain kind of response to life or take a certain choice or action, that is God saying, come awake. Here's a moment to come into this space. You use the word portal. It's the portal that enters. It's like you've been swimming in a cup. And there's a crack in the cup that allows you to swim into a pond. And then you find out that pond is connected to a lake and it's connected to an ocean. And God is constantly saying, come on, swim, big baby. You can get here. Come on, do it, right? This invitation to keep growing, to keep being our most expansive self. Because we get to a place, we grow, and then we're going to fill up the cup again.
I thought the faith was like to keep us on the boat.
No. The faith is to get in the water.
I thought the boat, and then Jesus throws a life preserver and brings us in the boat so that we never have to go.
But Jesus was walking on the water. What's more fun to you?
That's in the Bible?
Yeah, that's in the Bible.
Okay,
all the fun is walking on the water, being in the water, feeling the expanse. And so you said, what are the practices that we can do to help us? So number one, notice what you're noticing. Notice what you say to yourself when an inspired idea comes. Notice it. Don't chastise yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Okay, number two, write down your inspired ideas. Write them down and then refer to them. Come to them and look at them. And then ask yourself, when was the last time I took inspired action? Notice what you're noticing. Write down the moments that you have inspiration. Write those ideas down. And then number three, ask yourself, when was the last time I took inspired action? And then if you haven't taken inspired action, take inspired action. Now let me tell you, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. What did Jesus do? He was with a multitude of people. They were hungry. He said, by golly, let's get these people some food. It started with a thought. They're hungry. Let's get some food. And God didn't say, now, we're only serving beans and rice today. No, they had catfish sandwiches, tartar sauce, all right? Imagination is how we're able to dream a thing, to believe a thing to be possible. Everything gets created twice. First by a word, a thought, right? And then by the act of imagination, seeing it come into being. So yeah, imagination is a tool God invites us to use. You know what happens for us sometimes is language and its limitations over time. If Jesus' world in his day would have known the word imagination, Jesus probably would have used it. If they could have accepted the word imagination, Jesus probably would have used it. But they don't. That world doesn't understand a microwave either. That doesn't mean microwaves aren't real and that they aren't present, right? And so we have to learn to be flexible as we're listening to the word and as we're hearing the stories of Jesus, and hear words like imagination, like as in the beginning was the word, imagination, an image that became real, right? Because the word was there and it became something. There was an imagination in the mind of God. What would it be like to have animals in the ocean and animals in the sky? That image became reality. It got created twice. First in the mind, and then it manifested. And we have that same capacity. That's one of the gifts we share with being created in the image of God. Image. Notice, created in the image, the imagination, we go right back to it, of God.
You're saying finding your identity comes through our want-tos.
Our longings, our want-tos, our desires, the things that give us pleasure, because these things connect us to God's abundant love. What would it look like to be a parent, to only provide the absolute necessities for your child? I know of some very impoverished parents, and even some of the most impoverished parents try to get their children some of the things their children just want. Can the parents afford it? No. But are the parents willing to not eat so that they can set aside the money to get this thing just because they want to see the sparkle in their child's eye? And if we want to do that for our children, how much more does the Creator, Abba, God, long to see the sparkle in our eyes and in our lives when we're living into and experiencing the things that we love, that give us life?
What's hindering imagination, birthing flesh?
You know, one of the things that just came to me when you said that was fear. I think because we're far more practiced in using imagination to scare ourselves to death than we are in using imagination to create a life we love living. So let me give you an example. You know, your teenager just learned to drive. You give them the keys to your car. You send them out on their first solo drive. It's on a Friday night, right? First solo drive, and you're sitting with your cup of coffee or cold water, and you're thinking, oh my God, what if they run into a ditch, or what if they kill somebody? And you're going through all of this, scaring yourself to death, and you're using your imagination to accomplish it. So fear is innately, in many cases, attached to our imagination. But what if you say to yourself, now, is it true? Well, no, I haven't gotten a call that says my son or daughter has run into somebody. Is it really true? Well, no, I don't know that that'll happen. Who am I when I believe that thought? I'm nervous, I'm uptight, I'm anxious, I'm feeling all kinds of anxiety and fear. So who would I be without that thought? You mean I don't have to sit here and think about being frightened that something might happen to my kid? I could sit here and think, you know, my kid's a good driver. And I trust the process of life. I'm trusting that they're going to get back home safe and they'll have had a great evening. And so I'm just going to sit here with my cup of hot coffee or hot cocoa. I'm going to put my feet up on the ottoman, and I'm just going to take some deep breaths. It's cool having a kid that can drive. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to call him and tell him, bring me some ice cream.
It's just not mental acrobatics or like fake freedom.
You know, one of the things we know is that the mind doesn't always separate what's true from what's false. So there's a practice called laughter yoga, where you fake laughing, but it still produces the endorphins that make us feel good, right? So if it makes us feel good and we feel alive, who are we to judge if it's fake or if it's real? Because scientists are saying that laughter yoga produces endorphins, the God-given chemical to make us feel good and enjoy life. So it's kind of is the cup half full or half empty? A dear friend was telling a story about a friend of hers whose son is on the autistic spectrum. And she asked her son, is the cup half full or half empty? He said, Mama, it doesn't matter because there's water in there, and wherever there's water, there's more water. So that child had a sense about the abundance of the kingdom. What's really important is we recognize that we've been living in scarcity and lack, and the kingdom is an abundant place. The universe is an abundant place. That's the real message.
Nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord, all around us. Yes, I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Oh, in your presence, Lord, so wonderful. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Our hope is in you, Lord. I've tasted, 'cause I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. In your presence, Lord, we sing, Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Overwhelm us here in this place. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence.